It's a cloud chart. And I don't know about you, but as a young meteorologist, I had the field guide for clouds. And this is one of my favorite things to do as a young Brad growing up in Northeast Ohio, was identifying all the different clouds. And it's pretty cool. It's got all the layers you can see on the chart, shows you what height they're at, because clouds are usually classified by their altitude and what type of clouds. You've got stratiform, you got cumulus, you got cirrus, and then you've got all the layering. So there's all these various clouds. So let me ask you, what is your favorite type of cloud?
Gosh, this is such a hard question. Like you, I like clouds. Like you, I grew up in the clouds, up in the Great Lakes area. There are a lot of clouds up there, mostly stratiform. I'm a big fan of your mackerel sky kind of situation. I think an altocumulus, that's a really nice, fair weather type of cloud. And of course, your typical summertime thunderhead cumulonimbus. When you start to get into storm season and you see those bubbling up, I love one of those. What about you?
Yeah, I was going to say cumulonimbus, just for whatever reason, always one of my favorite. But the other one that I loved, and I'm lucky we've got to see a couple times here in western North Carolina. It's not very common. It's lenticular, right? The clouds that form on high mountaintops. And when you see that, it gets that name because it looks like a lens. Sometimes it looks like a flying saucer, if you really. And they're usually in the Rockies, right, Tim, or the Sierras or the Cascades. But we've actually had them a couple times here over Mount Mitchell and Grandfather Mountain. It always throws me for a loop when you see those. But one of my other favorite ones, and I mentioned it earlier, so I'm gonna show you, is the undulatus asperatus cloud. And this was a picture, one of my all-time favorite pictures in post that I've ever done. Kathy Anderson, I'm going to give her a huge shout out. She's a photographer from the Morganton area. She caught them over fall color in the Linville Gorge back in 2016. Look at that picture. That actually made the Washington Post and a couple other big publications, because how often do you get to see a rare cloud over our spectacular mountains in the fall? That is just that. So that's an undulatus asperatus cloud for people who don't know what it is. And then look at that. That's the Linville Gorge, which was one of my favorite locations in North Carolina.
Yeah, and those are created partially due to the up and down movement, kind of a wave cloud like we would call it. And you can see it. That's what it looks like. And a lot of people see this, they say, that doesn't look real. And I don't blame you for being skeptical nowadays, but this is a real kind of cloud. And as a photography tip, if you go up on your leaf trip this fall, don't be bummed up if it's cloudy, because you can get better lighting for the leaf color when it's cloudy.
Yeah, absolutely. Great tip, by the way. That is a very good tip for photography up there. Sometimes sun drowns them out. Thanks for joining us. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you on Monday.
Welcome, man, on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sertivan. James is here. James, how are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. What time is it, Nick? What are you doing here?
We're used to doing this in the afternoon. Look, on Fridays evenings, get used to seeing me. I'll be here doing the 7 to 9 and obviously extend the coverage depending on breaking news. But just get comfortable seeing me here on Friday evenings. You'll see James sometimes on Fridays, just depending on schedules.
Yeah.
James lives here.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
So I was talking to a friend on the phone, right? Today's Friday. And he said, oh, yeah, I'll have that for you by the start. He said by the 1st of next week. By the 1st of next week. And I said, did you just mix two phrases? Start of the month and first of the week?
That
to
would
do the first of the week?
That would have confused me because I would
I was
have.
like, and he was like, no, it's a phrase. Is that a phrase?
I've heard it, but it's incorrectly used.
I was like, I knew what he meant.
Yeah,
I
I knew
was
what
like, I don't think there's a numeric first of the week.
And where's your friend from?
Georgia.
Okay, I think that's a southern thing. I feel like I hear it more in the South. I feel like, I hate to make this regional, but I think there's just different phrases we have in the South. I've heard it before plenty of times, but still, it used to confuse me because I'm like, you mean like
the start of the week, the first thing in the week.
First thing.
I mean, regionally, I grew up in New York, and we do rock, paper, scissors, says, shoot.
Oh, okay. No,
I don't know if it's a New York thing or just a my elementary school thing, which totally throws off the game if you're playing with somebody who's not going to insert a whole extra syllable.
Now I wonder how you play Uno. When you see what happens when
Stay tuned.
You see what happens when they put us on the evening stream. We just go down the rabbit hole. It's Friday.
It's a beautiful Friday.
A beautiful Friday. And look, we just we're here to be personable, have conversation with you guys. We see you as family, as friends, watching the stream, and also bring you the news and bring you information that you can use. We want to go now. Do we have this ready?
We have new tape in.
Okay, we have a new video in. So we've been talking about it all week. We've been reporting on it for weeks now. But we're talking about the deadly stabbing on the light rail, the Blue Line train to be exact. That happened on August 22nd. Irina Zarutska, 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, lost her life. And there's been so much conversation surrounding her death and crime, public safety on transit, so many different avenues, mental health, the court systems. But this evening, folks in the community just came together to remember this young woman who had a couple of jobs that we learned, had a family here, and came here from Ukraine. And community members have been so touched by some of the positive things that have been said about her from her family and from her friends and coworkers. So we want to take you now to that visual. Siobhan Riley is covering that visual, so she'll have more for us tonight at 11 o'clock. But let's take you there to that visual right now.
Then go into everything we got.
Okay, Clydia Davis, CLYDIA
And what's the name of your organization?
Moms Ain't Playing.
Gotcha. Hold on 1 second.
But we're powered, and then I have Just Us, and the foundation of Don Quavius Davis is powered by Moms Ain't Playing.
Okay. Can everybody hear? Mm-hmm. Mic's working for everybody? Cool? Okay. Go ahead. You're good. Go ahead.
Okay. You ready to go ahead and start? What do you want me to say?
Oh, start whatever you want to do.
Basically, whatever you...
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Thank you all for coming today as we celebrate and honor the memory of Irina Zarutska. First, if you guys don't mind, can you all pledge of allegiance with me, please? I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, with liberty and justice for all. And that's what we need to get back to. We have to remember, this country is under God. God. And we stand for liberty and justice. And we all have the right to life. We have the right to life. We have the right to live and enjoy the fruits of our labor. Irana's life was taken. She didn't get that. We will make sure that she gets the justice that she deserves, since she didn't get to live the life that she wanted or live the dreams that she came to America to dream of. So a lot of people may find her ambush, her brutal, tragic murder, they might find it political or racial. However, me, my family, and other mothers like me, we see humanity. This is about a human being. This is about life and a tragic loss, one that has something that should have never happened. We've been fighting in legislation since 2019 to stop bonds, to ensure that they never get out of jail, to make sure juveniles go to jail for murder. We know that this is going to be a long, long journey for the Zaruska family. And we're just here to let them know that they are not alone, because grief is brutal. It is a monster. And we just really want them to know, we understand that they're away trying to make some sense of this all. But we are with them. Our hearts are open to them. Our ears are open to them. And definitely our love is for them. Seeing that poor girl lying there, balled up, afraid, it broke my heart. It broke my heart. And knowing that we've been fighting for justice, that we've been asking that citizens be protected, and to see that happen to her and open in front of, everybody. But in the midst of it all, hate was thrust upon her. But I find it heartwarming that somebody was there that helped her. So her final moments on earth didn't end in evil. She actually got a chance to see that somebody did care about her. And I hope that they gave her some peace from the torment and the brutal action that had taken her life.
Can you touch on who she was? I think she had a big part in the community. If you know a little bit about her, could you explain that?
Okay, I don't know anything about her other than what I've heard. And the perception that I take from it is that she was very vulnerable. She was fragile, but she was excited about being in America. She came and she got a job. She had already had ambitions on becoming a veterinarian, from what they say. So she really thought that America was going to be the American dream for her.
The families in your group have already journeyed down this path because you have lost loved ones.
Yes.
What can you say to the listeners about their journey? Is there any advice that you would have? Is there anything that can ease it, comfort them?
The first, I would definitely say stay in prayer. Don't let go of God, because you're going to need the comfort that He promised us. He promised to leave us a comforter in times of sorrow. I would say to them, don't think it's going to go away. This will probably be a lifelong experience for them, and that they would definitely need some people that understand them. So I would advise them to get in, groups, and CMPD has the homicide support group for innocent victims. There are other groups and stuff available. I would advise them to stay connected with understanding people, and the people that have the same hearts as they do, that understand the pain that they are experiencing.
What was it that moved you?
what moved me to do this visual for her, because I know the pain. And again, I'm for humanity. I love people. I love the right to live. I don't like when innocent lives are taken brutally. And I wanted to honor her just like I've honored a lot of several more families. She wasn't going to be left out. She's a human being as well, an innocent human being.
You mentioned state legislators and you talked to them. What's your message to them right now?
My message to state legislation is to stand on God's word. When you're a leader, you're expected to have a heart of God. The heart of God is justice and vengeance. You've got to prosecute. You can't have the idea of, okay, everybody dies, death is just a part of the life cycle. Laws were created to be followed. I raised my children, if you don't want to go to jail, do the right thing. So you have other people that are not doing the right thing, so they need to be prosecuted, especially when it comes to human life. Human lives are valuable. We can't just say that somebody else deserves a second chance because they're the ones left here. And families such as the Zaruskas, myself, other mothers, this is a lifelong thing. It's been 6 years for me. I have not stopped grieving yet. They need to take the valuable lives in which our Constitution held a promise to as well. Even though people leave here, and especially by murder, their lives are still covered by the Constitution. And the legislation has got to honor their lives as well and prosecute the people that's taking them innocently.
You talk about your pain. Talk a little bit about what you went through 6 years ago. And if you can, turn your body back this way so everybody can get you.
6 years ago feels like yesterday. The pain of having to go to a bond hearing, when I went through the judicial process, I said this, and I heard I had to go to a bond hearing. I said, this can't be. There's no way that somebody could kill somebody and have the right to get back out and wait until court. I thought that was the most disgusting, ridiculous thing I had ever heard. So it started there, and that's when I started the No Bonds for Murderers movement, No Bail, Stay in Jail. Waiting to go to court, you have anxiety, PTSD, and misplaced anger. It tears families apart. Tears every day, the trauma. When I went to bed, I would see guns, I would see lightning flashes in my head, loud bangs in my head. I was a nurse. I was no longer in the nursing field. I wasn't confident anymore. I lost, half of my memory. And waiting on court, my case didn't get tried until this year, February this year. So it was almost 6 years. And just waiting on that was just full of anxiety. You're worried if they're going to get out, and you shouldn't have to worry about that because the law said if you kill somebody, you go to jail. So you shouldn't have to worry about if somebody who murdered my child innocently, my son had no guns, he did not start an argument, he walked away from the argument. So rather his killer get out, that should not have been a worry of mine. Not when the law says with liberty and justice for all.
As you look at the picture of this woman right here, what goes through your mind?
A beautiful woman just starting her life. Your 20s are supposed to be your best years. Coming here, fleeing, just trusting America, and trusting to work. And go home like a normal citizen and have your life taken, and just seeing someone that enjoys life. See somebody who's ambitious. See somebody who wanted to have a family one day. Somebody that wanted to be a wife one day. And that vision turned into a horror vision on that train. This beautiful face and seeing her balled up, looking around, not realizing somebody had attacked her. That was so horrible. That was so horrible.
So what's your mission moving forward after today? What do you plan to do?
To continue to make sure that legislation do as they promise, to make sure that they work on the bond reform. Like, it should be no bond, period. None. You murder somebody, you stay in jail. And one of the main things I want them to do is get rid of that point system. Even North Carolina runs for a point system. Even when they get charged with murder, they go by a chart to see if they qualify for a plea deal, to see how many years they qualify for. That should no longer be a process because they killed somebody. Murder is one of the worst things that you can do. They didn't take a piece of candy, they took somebody's life, their God-given life. So, although the person who killed Don Quavis has life without parole, I'm still gonna fight for other families, for justice in this land that I live in, and the God that I believe in.
What's your message? This woman should never be forgotten, or what's the message out of this vigil?
That she is loved. That this is it's not about race. It's not about politics. It's about humanity. She was a human being. She may be a white female. I'm a black female. We are human beings. Her life mattered. My life matters. Everybody should care about what happened to her. Everybody should care about what happened to me and other mothers. We've got to get back to love. Love is the message. Love on God's people. Love on God's land. Rebuild it. Rebuild this land back on God's promises and what's expected to be under this flag.
Thank you so much. Do you have anything else you want to say?
Now, I don't, but I have other speakers for today. And before we go on that, before we started, we wanted to have a prayer, to acknowledge God and our gathering here.
Let's pray. Father, we invite your spirit into.
All right, so that is just a portion of that vigil that happened this evening. I believe it's still going on. It may just be wrapping up, but our Siobhan Riley is covering this. So basically, community members are coming together to honor the life of 23-year-old Irina Zarutska, the young woman who was fatally stabbed on the light rail back on August 22nd. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sertivant. James is here. And before we went to break, we were playing the visual that community members here in Charlotte put together to honor the life of Irina Zaruska. We're going to take you back to more of that visual that happened this evening. But first, we got a bit of news that we want to bring you. This is a live look outside of Turning Point USA's headquarters there in Phoenix, Arizona. So you see that growing memorial there for conservative activist, influencer Charlie Kirk after he was killed a couple of days ago. So here's the breaking news I want to bring you. So we just got word from Turning Point USA that Erika Kirk is set to make her first public address. Now, Erika Kirk is the widow of Turning Point USA founder and CEO Charlie Kirk. She will deliver those remarks live. Again, this is her first public address, and we plan to bring that to you here live on WCNC Plus here on Live Impact News, so you can see it here. But again, we just got that news just moments ago. Erika Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, set to make her first public address at 8:15. If anything changes with the time, we'll be sure to update you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, now, so we want to shift back now and come back here at home, because this evening community members, community leaders are coming together to honor the life of a young woman who was fatally stabbed on the Blue Line light rail back on August 22nd. And so again, this is brought up so many conversations surrounding crime, public safety, all the above. But again, community members just wanted to focus in on remembering this young woman, Irina Zaruska, 23 years old, who was killed back on August 22nd. Let's take you back now to that visual that happened just moments ago.
And cover us with your love and your grace and your mercy. Lord, we ask that you would bless us with wisdom and understanding, that in this moment we might know what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, that your name is magnified and glorified throughout the whole earth. Bless this setting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. Okay, and the next we're going to have Mr. Enrique Hall. I'll hold that.
I got it. That's fine. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is...
Would you like to say something?
I got it loud. Stand next to him so you're close to the mic.
Oh, okay.
That way they can hear you just in case.
Right.
All right, go ahead.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Enrique Hall. I'm running for school board District 2, and that's not the reason why I'm here. I'm here to honor this beautiful young lady's life. I'm a father, a grandfather, and I get emotional because people don't understand. Time is not on your side. And this young lady, you know, we tell our kids, go do the right thing. And she was doing the right thing. And how can you send your child out the house to do the right thing and wrong things happen to her? It is so crazy that the abnormal has become the normal in the system we're in. My mother used to say Satan is running rampant right now. And we got to figure out a way to stop it. This beautiful young lady was sitting on a train doing what any other 20-year-old would do. Playing in her phone, thinking about what she's going to do, what's on TikTok, what she's going to do and who she's going to talk to. And somebody just came and took the one thing you can't get back from her. And we got to figure out a way to change the policies where people can't do that anymore. You know, I've been around long enough to know I ain't been around long enough. And by me saying it is, it's time for change. I'm here for my sister. I talk to her all the time, hours and hours. And like I tell her, I can't imagine losing a child I don't even know what to say. I just know that my heart goes out to her. And when I heard about what happened to the young lady, only thing I could do is get up and go in the room and look at my daughter and thank the Most High that she's still here. Because people don't understand. We take our kids to church, we look down at them and their little feet don't touch the ground. They're sitting there. And our hopes and dreams lie in them. And for somebody to come take that from you heinously, I feel that's a problem. And we have to, as parents, we have to understand that some of our kids are not normal. And we have to get them help. We have to not be selfish. We have to understand that there's other people on this earth that need to have a peaceful life. And sometimes this beautiful young lady's life is not going in vain. Her light is glowing right now. She brought all of us out here to see that. Things need to be changed. Only thing she done was took that beautiful red energy she had and tore it open and let everybody know that things need to be changed. And that's why we're here today. So the one thing I could say is, I didn't know her, but I do know her now. Her energy grows bright, and her life is not in vain. We're going to make a change just for her. Thank you.
Will you pass out will you give those people the candles? So Mr. Abdul.
You want to hold that for first? Sure. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Abdul Ali. I work with the Frederick Douglass Foundation of North Carolina. I'm also the chairman of the 12th Congressional District Republican Party. I'm not here today as a party official. I'm not here today other than as a concerned citizen and somebody that cares about what people like Claudia and what people like Irina's family has gone through. We could talk about the need to improve on mental health services. We could talk about the political side of this, but the one thing to remember is that a young lady's life is gone. And the saddest thing for me is I have a daughter her age, and as Enrique said, I can't fathom the idea of coming home one day and hearing that my daughter's been murdered senselessly on the train. If there's one thing that we want people to know, we want the people at home to know, the legislators to know, is that safety should be the first and non-negotiable priority of every level of government. And to ensure that situations like this don't happen again, we need to make sure at a local level we're not spending money on frivolous things right now. We talk about what happened yesterday with Charlie Kirk, day before yesterday, and we talk about what happened with Irina. We're looking at a situation in our country where, unfortunately, people have become desensitized to violence, and the rhetoric is just too hot. So I'm here today to support. I'm here to show my condolences to Irina Zaruska's family. And if there's one thing that I would say to them, it doesn't matter what party you are, it doesn't matter what skin color you are, we all should recognize that her life mattered. And my t-shirt says, being angry at a person because of the color of their skin is akin to being angry at the God who made them. And our good friend Clarence Henderson, who sat at the Woolworth lunch counter in 1960, said this statement, so we put it on a shirt. And I want Irina's family to know, we don't care what color her skin is. We're all children of the Most High God, and your life mattered to us.
Yes.
Her life matters to us. So thank you all for being here. And with that, I'll call up James Bowers.
No, I have.
You want to?
Yeah, okay. I have two other mothers that that know this pain, that know this journey, that I would like to come and give their condolences to the Zaruska's family, because we know this pain. We know this pain. This is Mia Alderman. She's the grandmother of Mary Collins. She was also stabbed by 4 people. 4 people. And those people are out on bond. 2 of those people are out on bond. This is Tina Mosley. Her son was Marcus Mosley. He was robbed in Burlington, North Carolina by 5 people. She's got to go through a trial with 5 people. And they when the judge asked them how many, those people were already out on bonds for violent crimes. When the judge asked how many times, because he was so disgusted they were out on bond, he asked how much money did they spend on bond. The total was $96,000 and some change. They spent all that money but getting out over and over again. So,
Hello. Forgive me, I'm sorry. My name is Mia. My granddaughter, who I raised from birth, she had a cognitive disability. In 2020, she was brutally murdered, tortured, bludgeoned, stabbed over 130 times. 130. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought. She was stabbed 130 times. It has been over 5 years, half a decade, and Mary's murderers still have not seen justice. Kelly Lavery was given a plea deal for absolutely no reason other than the court system is so backed up and plea deals move things along. So she was given 25 years, so she's in prison. But someday Kelly Lavery will get out of prison and be among everybody. So everybody needs to know who Kelly Lavery is and what she did to Mary. The others, 2 of them were released on bond, James Salerno and Erika Deal. James Salerno was recently put back in jail, just recently, just a few weeks ago. So he's back in jail awaiting trial, as is Lavi Pham. So it's two men and 2 women. However, Erika Deal remains free on bond, was allowed to leave Mecklenburg County against the first judge's order for her first of 5 or 6 bond hearings. She's in Clover, South Carolina. She continues to violate her bond. She has a curfew. She's not supposed to be out after 6 p.m., but she has violated that curfew repeatedly. She has also kept her ankle monitor from the ankle monitoring company that she hired herself turned off, so she can't be monitored. There are multiple violations to her bond. The reason she has an ankle monitor company is because CMPD, as of 2019, will not monitor with an ankle monitor any murderer or murder-related crime. Since Kerr Putney, 2019, we're now in 2025 and a half, and we are on Chief Johnny Jennings, who is about to leave. Ridiculous and crazy decision still stands, and America is still free. We're waiting and are in touch with the DA's office for their response and what they're going to do about Erika Deal. I need to let this other mom talk, but if anybody wants to interview me, get in touch with me. I have a lot more to say. A lot has happened to us. Claudia is now my very good friend, and I would never have known her had her son Quavy and my baby Mary not been brutally murdered. But I want to say about Irania. I do know how they feel. I do. I do know how her family feels, that she was stabbed to death and died. And it's never, ever going to end. It's never going to go away. And it's horrific how it's being, repeatedly shown. That's their baby. So I would ask people, please keep talking about it and please keep fighting for her. But her actual death and murder, that doesn't need to be the charge. That she died is enough. That this happened is enough. You don't need that picture anymore. So, thank you.
Hello, everyone. I am Tina Sykes Mosley. I am the founder of Mothers Advocating for Real Change and Unwavering Support. And I thank you for doing this. What I would like for all of you to know is that this young lady here is being grossly exploited by the politicians. they are being grossly exploited by the politicians. So because they're doing this for their personal gain, every grieving family under the sound of my voice and those out there, I want all of us to come together and let's use it to our benefit and make sure change still happens. 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, it was this beautiful young lady. But 5 years ago, it was my son. 6 years ago, it was Claudia's son. It goes on and on and on. Charlotte, North Carolina has had nearly 100 murderers in this town thus far. Not one single time has the publicity has been so great that it is now. So since they are using this beautiful young lady for their good, let's turn it around and hold them accountable and make it good for the citizens of North Carolina as a state as well as Charlotte, North Carolina. The Charlotte-Mecklenburg Police Department has many questions that needs to be answered. There are so many holes in that. They're letting people out of jail on error for murderers. I talked to a mother as I was coming here today, Tamara Lockhart. She told me a story about her son who was shot in the head and murdered, and his killer was released out of jail in error. And later was recaptured about a few weeks to a month later, whatever she said. So we need to hold Mayor Lyles, we need to hold all these politicians accountable since they're wanting to exploit her for their own personal gain. Charlotte, North Carolina, let's turn it around. Let's use it to our good and make sure the citizens of North Carolina and Charlotte, North Carolina, Union County, North Carolina, and everyone else is protected 100%, because her story is just like all of our own stories. We're sick and tired of them using a face like this right here for their own personal good. That's what it is for. It's for their own personal good. Call it what it is. It's about money, because if they don't say anything about the trail of if they do not say anything about the light rail, President Trump has already said, what's the use of federal dollars if you can't keep them safe? So now federal dollars are jeopardized. And then keep in mind, on the ballot this year, there's a penny increase for light rail. So that's their agenda. It's not that they're so in love with this girl as they made it seem on the news. It's not that they're so heartbroken, okay? Because there's been a whole bunch of heartbreaks here. You're looking at mothers who know something about heartbreak. This right here is about money. It's about this beautiful young lady running from a country to come to a better land. And let's just keep it real. It's because her skin is a little lighter than mine, okay? So that's what this is all about. But because they want to use her, but let's demand that change really happen. That's what needs to take place. That is my platform, and we're going to hold them accountable. Thank you very much for your time. I am Tina Sykes Mosley. I'm the founder of Marcus, Mothers Advocating for Real Change, and unwavering support. It's time for a change. Thank you.
All right, so that was anti-gun advocate Tina Sykes Mosley speaking there, along with other people in the community this evening to honor the life of Irina Zarutska, the 23-year-old woman who was fatally stabbed on the light rail here in Charlotte back on August 22nd. All right, so we want to take a break. We want to step away for 2 minutes. I promise it's 2 minutes. We'll be right back here on Live Impact News in 2 minutes. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We want to get to a developing story in the Bay Area of California. Take a look at this. All right, so this is the aftermath after a deadly plane crash near Mount Hamilton. That's according to fire officials. So this fire crew's there, still on the scene, I believe, and this is from moments ago, of a deadly plane wreck after receiving a call this afternoon that an aircraft crashed 10 miles northeast of Mount Hamilton in Santa Clara County. Fire officials say one person is dead. And so, yeah, that is a look at the aftermath there. James, I know you had your eye on this a little earlier.
Yeah, this video came into us here at Live Impact News about an hour ago. The content partner out there in the Bay Area sending their helicopter out to see if they could find this wreckage, as emergency officials, too, were also going out to check the exact extent of the investigation. And I'm sure, as with any small plane crash, Nick, the NTSB will be looking into it.
Yeah, and that aerial footage shows sort of that extensive debris field.
Yeah, and it's a very remote area.
So, so that we will continue to keep our eye on this story as it develops. We want to shift over now to this. This is in North Dakota. From what we gather, University of North Dakota, or near the campus, or in the area where folks there are gathering to honor the life of Charlie Kirk. Looks like this shot froze on us, but again, take a look at this. I do want to add that we are expected to hear from Charlie Kirk's wife, Erika Kirk, later today. So this is a growing memorial here outside of the Turning Point USA headquarters in Phoenix, Arizona. That memorial, again, continues to grow. Again, we are expected to hear from Charlie Kirk's wife, Erika Kirk, in about 30 minutes.
That's right.
If you know, with time, and it says 8:15, timing it out 30 minutes from now. So we'll have that live for you here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. So again, you can see folks out there gathering around, leaving flowers, balloons, and this is, again, is become a memorial since his death just a couple of days ago. So we will continue to keep an eye on this and any other developing stories as they come in, as we always do here on Live Impact News, and break it down. We also, I do want to mention, we have an interview coming up at the top of the hour. We'll be speaking with anchor Pepper Baker from our content partners there in Memphis, ABC 24. President Trump mentioning today that he is deploying the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee. So we will get a sense of what's happening in Memphis from the city government perspective, law enforcement perspective, and the community perspective after President Trump made that announcement on Fox News earlier today. But before we get to any of that, we want to check in on our forecast with chief meteorologist at that, Brad Panovich. Let's take a listen in.
Hey, good Friday evening. It's Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich here at WCNC for Live Weather Impact. We're talking about some gorgeous weather. It's a weekend, feels like a Friday, and boy, the weather could not be more perfect. I mean, I jokingly call sometimes this weather Chamber of Commerce weather. This really is pretty close to Chamber of Commerce weather. I know some folks want that fall weather, maybe a little bit cooler, but this is about as normal as it gets around here, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in a second. But let's take a look outside from our camera, looking back towards Uptown, because this is kind of the view we've had all day, and it's been spectacular. I mean, the skyline looks great, the blue skies look great. We've had plenty of those fair weather cumulus clouds, which we'll talk about clouds more in a second, because today is kind of a cool day for cloud lovers out there. On the weekend, warm and dry. I'm not going to call it hot, because we'll probably end up being exactly near normal. Rain. I'm going to talk a lot about this with Tim, because we talked about this in the last couple of shows, that the chance of maybe maybe an isolated rain chance. I'm not convinced it's 100% there, but we'll talk about that. And certainly looks warmer as we get later in the week. Those fair weather clouds on that northeast flow, these are these puffy cumulus clouds. They will go away with the loss of heating of the day, because these are really, every one of those clouds is basically a thermal. It's where the ground heated up and rose up and got up there to the cooler parts of the atmosphere and formed a cloud. Once we lose the heating of the day, which tonight, as I check my sunset, 7:35 p.m. is sunset tonight. We are getting close to our first 7:30 sunset in quite some time. So it's getting dark now, right around time high school football starts tonight. So if you haven't left, or you're watching me from your phone or your device, hope you brought a long sleeve shirt, because at the very minimum, once the sun goes down, it does get crisp and cool out there. Temperature right now 82, actually one of the warmer spots in the area. Most areas are hovering right around 80 degrees, but it's incredibly dry. So those high school games out there, the high school football forecast, I expect temperatures will be in the 70s most of the game, possibly upper 60s by the second half. So certainly I would definitely want a jacket out there as temperatures fall back into the upper 50s. It's kind of that reverse heat index feel. It's not necessarily a wind chill. It's because it's so dry, your body can cool itself super efficiently, so it feels cooler than the air temperature. Typically, we're talking about the opposite. It's the heat index where it's hotter than the actual air temperature. Tomorrow, same story. Low 80s, but northeast winds, dry air. Feels super comfortable out there. Tomorrow, big match in Uptown. I'm actually super excited about it. This is one of the big things going on this weekend. Charlotte FC is taking on Miami, and everybody knows Messi plays for Miami. That would be a huge draw in and of itself, but Charlotte FC has won 8 matches in a row. If they win tomorrow, that's 9 matches in a row. That ties the MLS record for consecutive wins by a team. We are in third place in the Eastern Conference, folks. This game, if they win, locks in home field advantage for a 3-game playoff series. So huge. And I'm already hearing it's sold out. They only sold the lower bowl, so good luck finding a ticket for that. And the other nice thing about this is typically I talk about sitting in the sun in these games. With a 7:30 start and a 7:30 sunset, no sun issues in this game. Everybody will be in the shade the entire game. So certainly spectacular weather in Uptown tomorrow. Let's look back, because what's really cool, we had a really cool thing happen. We almost had the exact same high and low temperature yesterday that we had today. Yesterday it was 84 and 59. Today it was 84 and 60. We missed it by 1 degree. That's one of the statistical anomalies I love, when you just almost have identical temperatures 2 days in a row. High pressure, a lot of blue H's on the map, and that's all we're going to see. Tons of high pressure over us, meaning we are going to see dry conditions all weekend long. But see that low pressure system on the coast? That is what we're watching for some rain, possibly as soon as Monday, but I think more likely Tuesday into Wednesday. And let's just look at the rain potential here. This weekend, zilch, zero, nada. But starting Monday, notice the rain trying to creep in from the coast there a little bit by the afternoon. So I joked on Facebook, this is a good weekend if you have a honey-do list. But honestly, if you have to do painting or laying pavement, concrete, roofing, anything where you need a really long area of dry weather, this is the weekend to do it, because you could keep it dry the entire time. And speaking of dry, dew points stay very dry throughout this entire period. 20% chance of rain right now, Tuesday, Wednesday, but that is subject to change, and we'll talk about that uncertainty in the rain chances. Tropics, obviously you guys know we're in the peak of the season. Been pretty quiet. We had a lull like this last year. We're in a lull right now. 40% chance of that tropical wave developing, though, in the next 7 days, and that means it won't be to the middle of the Atlantic for at least 7 days. So this is not an immediate threat. No worries right now, but don't let your guard down. That is the one word of caution I would give everybody out there. We are heading towards the most active time of the season, late September and all of October. And last year, this is about the time the season really started to ramp up. So let's talk about this low pressure system. Why is there uncertainty? Well, because it's not really clear that this low is going to move inland. In fact, there's some indication it might stay along the coast. But if it does, you could see it trying to spread rain in there by Tuesday. And again, it looks pretty scattered right now. I'm not super confident we're going to see a ton of it, but we'll keep an eye on it just the same. But certainly by next weekend, we could see a pattern change. And the long-range rainfall, forecast shows minimal rain, 1/4 inch or less. So that looks pretty scant, if anything. But it's subject to error, and we'll talk about that with Tim coming up. But the weekend, this is a work of art. I mean, I could have recorded the weekend weather, James, and just taken the rest of the weekend off. That's how nice this is, especially when the high and low are exactly the same 2 days in a row. Tomorrow could be another day like that. 60 in the morning, maybe 83 again, 84. Sunday, a little bit warmer, mid-80s. And as we take a look at your Jerry Hunt Supercenter 7-day, that's a mouthful I get to say all the time now, mid-80s Sunday into Monday, low 80s Tuesday, Wednesday. Those are the question mark days. So if there's going to be something that's going to change right there, everybody pay attention. This could go up in rain chances to 40-50%. We'll go 10 days in the future just to show you that it does get toasty by the end of next week. I expect temperatures back in the upper 80s, maybe close to 90 by Thursday and Friday. We didn't hit 90 last weekend. We got close. 89 twice. We could be close again Thursday and Friday. And just remember, we have not hit 90 degrees since August 17th. So it has been a long stretch there. Also notice if we don't see those rain chances go up Tuesday, Wednesday, could be a while before we see significant rain chances, because even next weekend, it's 20% right now, but trust me, that long out, uncertainty super high. So when you see low rain chances in the long range, I wouldn't read too much in that, even as much as I would read into high chances. So stay tuned for some updates. We'll be back after the break in 2 minutes. We'll talk to Tim about this low pressure system. We'll talk about why today is a big day for meteorologists.
All right, so that is Chief Meteorologist Brad Panovich talking about the 10-day forecast. James, it's a work of art, this forecast.
You know what? It's a nice little forecast if you like the kind of the last licks of summer here.
I told Brad, I was honest. I said, hey, I'm not even going to fake it like I'm trying to get more out of summer. I had enough of summer. I'm ready for the fall. I'm ready to throw on a sweatshirt. I don't want it to be too cold. Look, I just want to be able to throw on a sweatshirt, something long sleeve, and because we had 100-degree days for a good stretch here in North Carolina, so I'm glad that's behind us. Again, that forecast. Enjoy your weekend if you're out and about this evening, and throughout the weekend if you got plans. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. James is here. So a story, and again, we're going to talk with Pepper Baker out of Memphis, ABC 24, our content partners out of Memphis, Tennessee. But before we get to her, we want to play a little bit of that press conference from earlier from Mayor Paul Young addressing residents of Memphis after President Trump announced that he's deploying the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee. Let's take a listen into a portion of that press conference.
There are people from all different backgrounds. There's elected officials. I want to thank Representative Cohen for being here, Representative Parkinson, City Councilman Ford. I see the chair of the County Commission is here, Shantae Avant, as well as Mikhail Lowry from the County Commission. We have business leaders, clergy, community members. We're all standing in solidarity for Memphis. And I know we have a lot of press here. This press conference will probably get broadcast in a lot of different places. And as the eyes of the world are on Memphis, I want the world to know that Memphis stands together. This morning, we learned that the president and the governor are looking to bring federal resources to our city, which include the National Guard, which they have the authority to do. I want to be clear, I did not ask for the National Guard, and I don't think it's the way to drive down crime. However, that decision has been made. And as mayor of the city that I love, of Memphis, Tennessee, my commitment is to make sure that we work strategically to ensure that this happens in a way that truly benefits and strengthens our community. I want to note that we have been making progress as a city on reducing crime. 13% overall reduction in crime in 2024, 19% reduction in violent crime, 29% reduction in murders, 37% reduction in car thefts, and that's in 2024. And on 2025, we're on pace to beat those numbers. We've been executing a very deliberate strategy, one that focuses on identifying the most violent individuals and groups in the city, and we've seen success. We've invested in a citywide camera network that provides the technology that allows us to capture criminals more quickly. We've recently had a successful FBI initiative in partnership with MPD that has produced significant results. And because of the work and the tireless efforts of our law enforcement, we're seeing double-digit percentage reductions in crime across the board, and I believe that what we should do is double down on those strategies that we know work. I think it's important that I say here as mayor that we know the work is not done. Our city is still far too high on too many of the bad lists, and we're committed to putting in the work to making sure that we do just that. I want to speak to the reality that far too many Memphians feel. Just over the past couple of weeks, we had a beautiful 901 Day celebration, our only holiday. The only holiday that we celebrate. No other place in the country, 901 Day. Beautiful celebration. The event was scarred at the end of the night, after everything was over, because we had teenagers that had a shootout. We had a home in Hickory Hill where 4 residents were shot in their own home. I had an event last night, just last night, where I was walking through a festival, and there was a daughter that chased me down to hand me a letter that her mama had typed for her to give to me and put in my hand, where she talked about her son that passed away in 2018, and she's still looking for answers. So the pain of violence, we feel it. We know it all too well. To me, this is not about politics. This is not a political stunt for anybody up here. We're talking about real lives.
All right, so you're watching a playback from that press conference out of Memphis. That is Memphis Mayor Paul Young speaking because President Trump this morning on Fox News said that he's deploying federal troops to Memphis, Tennessee. again, we wanted to play a little bit of that press conference back for you in case you missed it. After President Trump made that announcement, obviously it made all the headlines, especially since this has been a thing in different cities across the U.S. We want to send it now, and I brought this up earlier. Pepper Baker from our content partners in Memphis, Tennessee, ABC 24. Pepper, thank you for your time. Thank you for joining us here on the show.
Nope. Thank you for having me.
So you heard and you saw all of that press conference. I just want to get a feel. Give me your takeaways from that press conference and give me some perspective on the city's response.
Yes, so Memphis Mayor Paul Young took a pretty level-headed and very strategic stance here. I mean, he definitely made it clear. A lot of Memphians wanted to know, did you ask for the National Guard? Is it true that President Trump's statement about him being happy about this, is that what he feels? And he was very quick to address that he did not request the National Guard himself. He does not think that it's actually driving crime down, and that he carefully said when our reporter Ezekiel Telemaco asked him if the happy quote was true, he was careful to take a second and he said it was an overstatement. So right off rip, he already said that the mayor doesn't really have a lot of control here over this, that the governor and President Trump are going to be the ones really working on this together. And he's just trying to mitigate it and kind of damage control and find a collaborative approach so that he can give the best benefits to Memphians and make this an advantage for the people here.
So that's what the mayor said. But, and I know this press conference just happened hours ago, but what are folks there in Memphis saying? How are they feeling about this? What's the vibe there in the city?
You might be surprised to actually find the people we've talked to have been a little bit on both sides. Some Memphians feel like they're tired of seeing the violence on their streets. I mean, you heard Mayor Young talk about the recent crime. There was a shooting on the 901 Day celebration, a teenager after the events ended. And then there's been 4 kids who were shot recently within the last week or two in a Hickory Hill neighborhood here. So there's been people who have said, hey, all hands on deck. We've interviewed them. But there's also some who feel like this could accelerate crime or make people a little bit more contentious. The vibe between the National Guard and citizens, there's guns in the streets already. Will you just see maybe a potential breakout of a war, if you will, in the streets? That's worst case scenario here. So by all means, our Shelby County mayor had said that he doesn't think any Memphians want this, but that is not necessarily true. There have been some Memphians who have said they welcome it, they think it'll do well for our city and that we could use it.
I guess the next question is when could we see, or do you know a timeline of when troops could be there? Did the city say anything towards that? Do they know anything? Do they have a timeline?
So Memphis Mayor Paul Young definitely said not overnight. But those are the questions that they're now going to have to work on figuring out. We don't know how soon they'll be here. We don't know how long they could be here for, what the capacity of their power will be, what they will wear, will they be armed, how many will come. Those are all questions Mayor Young was very clear about that he couldn't answer at the press conference today. So those are all the things that he's going to hopefully talk to Governor Bill Lee about and President Trump. But we had a political commentary show that we had some analysts on. And one point to make was they've been talking about this for weeks. We first reported this in early September, if not late August. So if the conversation's been happening for weeks here, how do we still not know what seems to be basic questions? You would think that those things would have been ironed out before the big announcement was made. But all we can go by is what Memphis Mayor Paul Young said, is that those are going to be worked out in the next couple of weeks. And we'll just see what they decide then.
Pepper, one more question before I get you out of here. You've been so generous with your time this evening. Out of response, we've seen it in D.C., we've seen it in L.A. There have been protests, there have been rallies, gatherings, pushing back on federal troops in those cities. Have you heard of anything possibly happening this weekend. Obviously, we don't know when the federal troops will get there, but have you heard of anything from community members, community advocates about anything planned in the city, in Memphis?
We are keeping a close eye on social media groups and the big blogs and all the people we follow here that would probably most likely organize something like that. We haven't seen anything at this moment. Some of the most recent retaliation, if you will, that we've seen, Shelby County Mayor Lee Harris, who I mentioned earlier, not Memphis Mayor Paul Young, had mentioned taking legal action or trying to figure out how he could pursue this legally against, I guess, the Trump administration or Governor Bill Lee to keep them from coming. But no, we haven't heard any gatherings per se now. We haven't heard any uprising potential yet. It's still just around the fact of how this is going to look. I do think this is important to know. Memphis is a little different in this situation than DC and Chicago. You know, we have a Democratic mayor, Paul Young, who is in a state with a Republican governor, who then is, you know, we have a Republican president administration. So he's nuanced in a way where DC's mayor doesn't have that state jurisdiction because it's a territory. So, you know, Trump had a little bit more authority to go in and do as he pleases. Chicago, you have a Democratic mayor with a Democratic governor with the backing of a Democratic governor. So Mayor Paul Young, again, is just kind of hands tied situation. He can't make a lot of decisions on his own, and he's got to figure out and kind of play the parts that Governor Bill Lee and President Trump are putting him in. So that's just all something to consider here, is that it's a little different with Memphis. But as far as your question goes, no, we haven't heard of any outright gatherings happening at this moment. I think people want to wait to see exactly what this is going to look like.
Yeah, and to your point, you make a great point there. It's not just the federal involvement; it's the working relationship between said city and said state's governor when it comes to all of this. Pepper, thank you for your time here on Live Impact News. We'll check in with you at some point as this situation sort of evolves. Again, Pepper, thank you.
No problem. Thank you, Nick.
All right, that was Pepper Baker there from our content partners there in Memphis, Tennessee, AB24. Yeah, again, no timeline, but you know, we got this announcement from President Trump earlier today about deployment of the National Guard to Memphis, Tennessee. So we'll continue to keep an eye on it. Again, there are other cities where there are question marks about this same thing. All right, so do we want to head to break? Let's head to break. We'll take a break. We'll step away for 2 minutes. We'll be back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. So right now we are keeping an eye on a press conference that's expected to happen. We're expected to hear from the widow of Charlie Kirk. She's expected to speak any minute now. So we're keeping an eye on that. We'll bring that to you live here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. But first, we want to check in on our crews out in the field. So again, we're learning more about the 22-year-old man accused of killing conservative political activist Charlie Kirk. Sources say the suspect's dad was the one who convinced him to turn himself in. Jim Nelson is there in Utah, and he's walking us through how this arrest was made. Let's take a listen in to this report.
According to the Associated Press, Tyler Robinson's dad saw the surveillance photos, then turned to a family friend who's also a youth pastor to help facilitate a peaceful end to this violent week.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox made it official at a morning news conference. Tyler Robinson was booked in a southern Utah jail and is now accused of killing Charlie Kirk during an event at Utah Valley University on Wednesday.
It is an attack on the American experiment. It is an attack on our ideals.
A spokesperson for the university said Robinson briefly attended the school in 2021. The governor didn't get into specifics of the arrest, but acknowledged a family member and friend helped lead authorities to Robinson. He also said the family told investigators Robinson had become more political recently and was vocal about disliking Kirk and the things he said.
Words are not violence. Violence is violence. And there is one person responsible for what happened here, and that person is now in custody.
The arrest was made late Thursday night after the FBI released video of the suspected shooter on the rooftop where that deadly shot was fired.
Thanks to the full weight of the federal government and leading out with the partners here in the state of Utah and Governor Cox, the suspect was apprehended in a historic time period.
You cannot silence us. You can't silence free speech through violence.
Some Utah Valley students believe the shooting is an eye-opening moment in history.
I'm glad that he's been caught. I hope that he's brought to justice quickly. Capital punishment, I assume.
Investigators also talked to a roommate of Robinson who shared with them social media or chat messages attributed to Robinson that referenced a rifle, a scope, and engraved bullets, consistent with evidence collected by investigators. In Orem, Utah, I'm Jim Nelson.
And that is Jim Nelson for us reporting in Utah with the latest on the suspect in the assassination of Charlie Kirk. All right, we're continuing to keep an eye on a press conference that's set to start. Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, is set to make her first public address since his murder. So this is a live look. I believe this is in Arizona. James, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, this is the same shot we had for you earlier on Live Impact
just
News.
A different
The photographer just turned.
Gotcha. So again, a Grow Memorial. So many people out there paying tribute to Charlie Kirk. The day after this happened, and look, just to kind of give you some backstory, James and I were here on Live Impact News when we found out the news about Charlie Kirk. I don't know if you want to kind of play back.
We can talk a little bit about. We were sitting right here, and we've got lots of monitors all around the room, and it was this one just behind me here where we first started seeing the first initial reports come in, and then we do what we always do here on Live Impact News, and we start going through our content partners to find the on-the-ground content to then bring to you right here on WCNC Plus.
And we were just sort of wrapping up our afternoon show. And that happened, and so we, obviously we want to bring you the most accurate and up-to-date information on it, and the news evolved over time, and then I believe during the 4 o'clock show, our 4 o'clock show, Eastern Standard Time, that's when we found out he passed away. But yeah, just kind of wanted to give you sort of a sense and feel of how we've been reporting it, and how this story has evolved since day one.
And we've heard from people in our local community. Young Republicans from App State in Western North Carolina, young Republicans at UNC in Chapel Hill, how this event, how the passing of Charlie Kirk impacted them. And, we've seen it tonight, continuing vigils across the country.
Yeah, and look, this is a guy who made an effort to go on college campuses to to talk to young people. And that was sort of his thing, is to go on college campuses and to talk to people and talk to young people specifically. A big reason, one of the big reasons why President Trump was reelected in 2024. And a day after the incident, the assassination of Charlie Kirk, I got a chance to speak with political science professor, Dr. Michael Bitzer from Catawba College, to give some perspective on what, and it looks like.
I was just going to say, Nick,
Yeah.
we can get to that piece of tape, I think, here in just a moment. We're seeing now where we expect Erika Kirk, the widow of Charlie Kirk, to be speaking. The shot inside here. Let me take down some of the graphics on the screen just so you can kind of see, what they have set up here. Matter of fact, I think they've got some items on the table. If I take our ticker down, that might just be of interest to kind of see. Oh, and YouTube is playing an ad. That was exactly what we were worried about.
I think we have the shot on router 3.
Yeah, we have a couple redundant shots here.
All right, so it has, the hat 47 for President Donald Trump, and then it has this sign there that says, "May Charlie be received into the merciful arms of Jesus, our loving Savior." Then a picture of Charlie Kirk right there. I believe behind that chair is a picture of President Trump. I believe that
is that the Time magazine cover?
The Time magazine. I couldn't tell if that was the Time magazine cover.
I may be wrong.
But it certainly looks like the Time magazine cover. But this is the setup that this just popped up. And so I saw it on the preview monitor, so I wasn't sure. So I'm glad you interjected, James. So we're going to keep an eye on this. Let's go to the interview with political science professor Dr. Michael Bitzer for Catawba College to give some perspective on this. And as soon as this pops up, Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, we will take you there live. Let's take a listen there. Welcome here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. Carlene Bragg is here. We want to get to our top story, a story that we broke here on Live Impact News yesterday afternoon, and that is the death of conservative activist Charlie Kirk. A 31-year-old was shot and killed during an event he was hosting at Utah Valley University. Now, the manhunt continues for the shooter. We just got a bit of new information before we got on the stream. So the FBI released a photo of a person of interest. It is seeking a connection to this fatal shooting again at Utah Valley University. And this Charlie Kirk's death is brought on a discussion and conversation from both sides of the aisle. I want to bring in Dr. Michael Bitzer, political science professor at Catawba College. Dr. Bitzer, as always, friend to the program, thank you for your time.
My pleasure.
Let's get into it. I just want to get your reaction to his death. It happened yesterday afternoon. I just want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, I was actually wrapping up class yesterday afternoon when one of my students looked at his phone and announced that Charlie Kirk had been shot. We didn't know much at that particular point in time, but in thinking about and studying and actually teaching a course this semester on polarization in American politics, I think this is a very dangerous inflection point that we are at. We have seen political assassinations typically tending to be of elected officials in our past history. We've seen political violence. But this kind of targeting of political activists now, a very well-known conservative political activist, is something that really stretches the mind to consider where we are as a nation and how we are going to get ourselves out of this very deep, very divisive environment that unfortunately can bring such events to bear to our collective nation. And I'm not real sure where we head from here. My hope is that we will find our better angels, but this is going to be a real test of the American civic will.
Yeah, Dr. Bizzard, I was just about to say and follow up with a question. You mentioned political violence. You talk about the assassination attempts against President Trump. Also, earlier this year, Melissa Horton, representative out of Minnesota, Governor Shapiro in Pennsylvania, and Charlie Kirk. Now, I believe I'm missing a. All right, so that is interview with Professor Dr. Michael Bitzer on Charlie Kirk. I told you as soon as we saw Erika Kirk on our screen, we want to take you there now. Let's take a listen into what she's saying right now.
Responders who struggled heroically to save Charles's life, and the police who acted bravely to make sure that there were no other victims on that terrible afternoon. I want to thank the officers who have protected our Turning Point USA family these past 2 days. And I want to thank the Turning Point USA board, the COO, Justin Strife, and my husband's chief of staff, the amazing Mikey McCoy, for all their work in these terrible days to be the stability for our family and for the wider Turning Point USA family as well. My heart is with every one of my husband's employees who lost a friend and a mentor. I want to thank the staffers of his amazing Charlie Kirk show, who helped him broadcast from this studio, this chair. Every day he loved it. He loved what he did. I want to thank the millions of people who have shown their love for Charlie here in Phoenix, across America, and worldwide. I want to thank my husband's dear friend, Vice President Vance, and his phenomenal wife, Usha, for their love and support. You guys honored my husband so well bringing him home. You both are tremendous. I want to thank President Trump and his incredible family for the same. Mr. President, my husband loved you. And he knew that you loved him too. He did. Your friendship was amazing. You supported him so well, as did he for you. 2 days ago, my husband, Charlie, went to see the face of his Savior and his God. Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. And one of the final conversations that he had on this earth, my husband witnessed for his Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr. Charlie loved life. He loved his life. He loved America. He loved nature, which helped him always bring him closer to God. He loved the Chicago Cubs. And my goodness, did he love the Oregon Ducks. Want me to say go Ducks, so I have to since they play on Saturday. So go Ducks. But most of all, Charlie loved his children. And he loved me with all of his heart. And I knew that. Every day I knew that. He made sure I knew that every day. Every day he would ask me, how can I serve you better? How can I be a better husband? How can I be a better father? Every day. Every day. He was such a good man. He still is a good man. He was the perfect father. He was the perfect husband. Charlie always believed that God's design for marriage and the family was absolutely amazing, and it is. It is, and it was the greatest joy of his life. And over, he would tell all these young people to come and find their future spouse, become wives and husbands and parents. And the reason why is because he wanted you all to experience what he had and still has. He wanted everyone to bring heaven into this earth through love and joy that comes from raising a family. It's beautiful. Charlie always said that if he ever ran for office, I know a lot of you asked if he ever was going to, but privately he told me if he ever did run for office that his top priority would be to revive the American family. That was his priority. One of Charlie's favorite Bible verses was Ephesians 5, verse 25. Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church and gave himself up for her. My husband laid down his life for me, for our nation, for our children. He showed the ultimate and true covenantal love. I will never, ever have the words to describe the loss that I feel in my heart. I honestly have no idea what any of this means. I know that God does, but I don't. But Charlie, baby, I know you do too. I know you do. So does our Lord. And our world is filled with evil. But our God, you guys, our God is so good. He's so incredibly good. And we know that for those who love God, all things work together for good, for those who are called according to his purpose. Already I have seen the worldwide outpouring of love for my husband. I've heard the testimonies from people my husband inspired to get married, to start families, to seek out a relationship with God. It's the most important one of all. The evildoers responsible for my husband's assassination have no idea what they have done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and of God's merciful love. But they should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country and this world. You have no idea. You have no idea the fire that you have ignited within this wife. The cries of this widow will echo around the world like a battle cry. To everyone listening tonight across America, the movement my husband built will not die. It won't. I refuse to let that happen. It will not die. All of us will refuse to let that happen. No one will ever forget my husband's name, and I will make sure of it. It will become stronger, bolder, louder, and greater than ever. My husband's mission will not end, not even for a moment. And one of Charlie's greatest talents was his ability, this phenomenal ability to choose great people to follow him. He could always find the ones who could handle any setback. And it's almost like he knew. He could see it in you. Even when you couldn't see it in yourself, he just knew. He knew you could handle it. You thought you only had 5% left, and he knew you had 15. He knew you were ready to go that extra mile even when you didn't. He always challenged people around him to work harder and to be better. He never gave up. And I love knowing that one of his mottos was never surrender. So I want to tell you that we'll never surrender. We never will. Ever. Ever. Our campus tour this fall will continue. There will be even more tours in the years to come. America Fest here in Phoenix this December will go on. It will be greater than ever. The radio and podcast show that he was so proud of will go on. And in a world filled with chaos, doubt, and uncertainty, my husband's voice will remain. And it will ring out louder and more clearly than ever. And his wisdom will endure. My favorite too, but my husband's favorite word in the English language was earn. He would call all of you to be people of action who earn the future America deserves. So to all of the young people who felt inspired by my husband's faith and hard work, all of you already know what Charlie would want you to do. You know. You know. If you're in high school or if you're in college, go find your local Turning Point USA chapter. Join it. Stay involved. He wants you to make a difference. And you can. You can. The movement's not going anywhere, and it will only grow stronger when you join it. If there isn't a chapter, you can't find one, then start one. There is no excuse. You can start one. And as my husband used to say in this room, every single day, if you want to get involved, the best way you can do that is going to tpusa.com. That's what he would say every day from this chair. Every single day. I watched his show every day, and he would always say, if you want to get involved, go to tpusa.com. If you're a pastor, join our movement at TPUSA Faith. And if you're a parent, I highly recommend that you come to America Fest in December. Sign up right now for that because we would love to see you. I would love to see you. Charlie would. He'll be there. He'll be there in spirit. Bring your kids, bring your family. But most important of all, if you aren't a member of a church, I beg you to join one. A Bible-believing church. Our battle is not simply a political one. Above all, it is spiritual. It is spiritual. The spiritual warfare is palpable. Charlie loved his Savior with all of his heart, and he wanted every one of you to know him too. He wanted everyone to know that if they confess the Lord Jesus Christ who rose from the dead, then they will be saved. Hear me when I say this, nobody is ever too young to know the gospel. Nobody. Nobody is ever too young to get involved with saving this beautiful country, this country my husband loved and still loves. And nobody is ever too old either. There's no age limit. I know my husband is still here. He's watching over us. I don't remember the last time I slept. I couldn't sleep last night. And Charlie, baby. Charlie, I promise I will never let your legacy die, baby. I won't. I promise I'll make Turning Point USA the biggest thing that this nation has ever seen. I promise. Oh, Charlie, I love you. I love you, baby. Rest in the arms of our Lord as he blankets you with the words I know your heart always strived to hear. Well done, my good and faithful servant. When I got home last night, Gigi, our daughter, just ran into my arms. And I talked to her and she said, Mommy, I missed you. I said, I miss you too, baby. She goes, where's Daddy? What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. I said, baby, Daddy loves you so much. Don't you worry. He's on a work trip with Jesus, so he can afford your blueberry budget. And my goodness, am I so humbled to witness Charlie, you alongside Jesus right now, doing what you always want to do, baby. Making heaven crowded, right? That's what it's all about. Making heaven crowded. I can't wait to see you again one day. Thank you all again who love my husband, who supported him, who wrote him an email every single day during his radio show. He read all of them. All of them. God bless you all. And may God bless America.
All right, so that is, that was Charlie Kirk's widow, Erika Kirk, speaking. I believe that was his office / where he did his podcast. Correct me if I'm wrong, James. That was his podcast chair, right? His hosting chair. Giving her remarks, saying that the tours will continue, that his podcast will continue, and that their efforts when it comes to Turning Point USA will continue. All right, so let's take a quick break. We'll be back in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We're going to get to some breaking news. So we just got this in within the last hour. So you see it here on your screen. Stanley County, this is from Stanley County Emergency Services. So Stanley County Emergency Services sharing on its Facebook page in this post that Stanley County Emergency Services, along with local fire departments, are currently responding to a fire incident at the Fiberon facility. And they're asking for folks to please avoid the area so responders can work safely. Again, Stanley County Emergency Services, along with local fire departments, are currently responding to a fire incident at the Fiberon facility. And they're asking folks to please avoid that area. Again, if you're in that area, if you're making your way through that area, find a detour, get away from that area as first responders do their job. All right, so this is a map of a general area where this is. Hard for me to see, so I might have to have James come in.
It's a little bit bigger on my monitor here where I sit. So this is in New London. This is in Stanley County. Now, the map is showing us that this corporation has several different locations all along U.S. Route 52 and State Route 8. So I'm not 100% sure yet which facility, which address that they're at, Nick. But, just looking at Google Maps, we can see they have a recycling facility, one that says wood sheds, composite fencing, and one that says composite decking. So it seems like this company maybe works with different materials and the like. And again, this is along US 52 here near New London in Stanley County, just north of Albemarle. And this, of course, is just off to the east of Charlotte.
Okay. And we didn't, I just want to point out, we were checking all of our cameras in the area.
We are checking all of our cameras in the area. Now, we don't have any that are, say, right in this area, but we do have cameras that are scattered across the area. We have one near Lylesville, and I've been turning it around, and that would be quite some distance away, but I can tell you that I'm not seeing anything on the horizon. So we're very limited on details. I mean, the details that we have is the exact Facebook post we just shared with you. So we're trying to use any of our resources to see if we can gather even the smallest tidbits of information. But our newsroom is making some phone calls on this right now, trying to see what additional information they can gather.
Yeah. So we will continue to keep you updated here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus, also on WCNC Charlotte for the news at 11. I know we are approaching the top of the hour, but we still have more show left. So look, hang on here on WCNC Plus here on Live Impact News. All right, so let's shift gears. So we were going to take you to a press conference. I just wanted to be transparent with you. Out of Chicago, Illinois Representative Chuy Garcia was speaking.
It looks like it just wrapped up, Nick. But we managed to record the last few minutes.
Punch myself on camera. I saw some words on the screen.
I'm so sorry. Thank you. And I'm just waiting now for, we say tape. I'm waiting for a video file to appear in our system, and we should have it in a near minute or two to catch the last couple minutes of his remarks. But why don't you let our viewers know a little bit of what's happening in Chicago today while I load up this video playback.
Yeah, so right now it looks like that press conference was revolving around ICE. Obviously, there has been conversations about federal deployment in Chicago. The mayor and the governor there are pushing back against the Trump administration regarding that, having federal troops. We just had, in related but unrelated news, we had Pepper Baker from ABC 24 in Memphis talking about the possible federal deployment there in Memphis, Tennessee. So Chicago, one of those cities, also a target of the Trump administration, and obviously that federal involvement involves not only a crime crackdown but also ICE, a bigger presence of ICE, and so Representative Chuy Garcia pushing back against that.
We have this headline here from NBC Chicago. Just broke a few hours ago that a person was fatally shot, an ICE agent severely injured during an interaction, where I believe it was a traffic stop between an ICE agent and a man. So we do have the videotape of the last few minutes of what the local representative there was saying. Before I go to it, Nick, and I have it paused on our screen, I know you said you were seeing some profanity on some signs. Do you see it in this particular?
I don't see it there. Okay. I don't see it there. So we should be good to go. It was after it wrapped, so it was a wider shot. So we should be good to go with this. But we, just in case you see anything, just wanted to kind of give you a heads up, but we should be good to go. We've been looking at this video.
Yeah, let's take a listen to this. I'll bring us over to it now.
Do you know at all the
current status of this immigration? We're hearing possibly he may have had a temporary stay.
I don't know what his status is.
Given the traffic violations and other pickups you've seen in the last few weeks, have you noticed a trend? How many do you really believe have a criminal history versus something similar?
Look, without a doubt, there's massive racial, ethnic profiling that's taking place, and it's shameful. It's racism, it's discriminatory, and it is selective. And that's what is going on throughout the metro region and across the country. The second part of your question?
That's good. Do you believe, do you have any knowledge whether he was on their radar or he was picked up at random? Do you believe that?
I don't know. We have no information about whether there was a warrant issued for him to be interrogated or apprehended whatsoever. Vamos a trabajar con la familia para atender sus más básicas necesidades, por un lado, y por otro lado, la familia quiere lo que yo dije, lo que dijo la representante. Queremos que sea divulgado, compartido con todo el público, todas las evidencias de los hechos ocurridos. Eso es lo único que asegurará que haya justicia y que las conciencias de todos nosotros estén limpias. Gracias. Okay. Any other questions? If not, thank you. Yes.
Congresista, ¿cree que esto pueda crear un problema para que esta administración pueda hacer el uso de la Guardia Nacional? ¿Cree que puedan utilizarlo como excusa?
Yo he dicho por 2 semanas de que al llegar la celebración de las fiestas patrias, esta administración pudiera intentar provocar a la comunidad, crear choques, crear tensiones y confrontaciones para grabar las imágenes de disturbios como justificación, como excusa para que el presidente trate de movilizar a la Guardia Nacional. Entonces, mi mensaje, especialmente este fin de semana, es que hay que permanecer tranquilos, hay que demostrar nuestra dignidad y no hay que ser provocados a la violencia, porque eso va a asegurar que nuestras familias y nuestros vecinos paguen el costo del achaque de este presidente de utilizarnos como chivo expiatorio. Gracias. The question for the English speaking media was what's been the message and whether provocation or incidents like this could be exploited by Donald Trump to justify mobilizing of the National Guard. My answer was that we have been urging the community to celebrate cool-headed, intelligently, and not to let itself be provoked by any federal agents or other forces who will seek to create situations where there is conflict, where there is violence, where there are confrontations to try to justify the mobilization of the National Guard. And that is the advice that we are urging people to celebrate intelligently, to do it with dignity, because the whole country and the world is watching what happens here in Chicagoland. Thank you.
No dignity in kidnapping. All right, thank you, everyone. There's no dignity in constructing a narrative.
All right, so that was a press conference that just wrapped up a few minutes ago there in the Chicago area. That's Illinois Representative Chuy Garcia speaking. Let's take a quick break. We'll be back here in 2 minutes here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. All right, welcome back here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. I'm Nick Sturdivant. We are approaching the top of the hour, 9 o'clock. Thank you for hanging with us this Friday evening. So we are continuing to follow the latest developments in the murder of Charlie Kirk. There was an arrest made. There have been more information made available. We want to get to the latest from NBC. Morgan Chesky is covering the story for us right now. Let's take a listen in.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. We got him.
Tonight, after a manhunt that lasted just 33 hours, police say they've caught the suspect who assassinated conservative activist Charlie Kirk. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson, arrested for suspicion of aggravated murder and other charges. Authorities say his family turned him in.
A family member of Tyler Robinson reached out to a family friend who contacted the Washington County Sheriff's Office with information that Robinson had confessed to them or implied that he had committed the incident.
Law enforcement sources tell NBC News that family member was Robinson's own father, who contacted a family friend, identified as a minister, and that's when local sheriffs were alerted. Robinson lives in Washington County, Utah, and is currently a student at Dixie Technical College, where he's in the electrical apprenticeship program.
Congratulations.
Video from 2021 shows Robinson reading a scholarship letter from Utah State University, which he attended for one semester.
Approximately $32,000.
Utah's governor says family members told them Robinson recently brought up Charlie Kirk's upcoming visit to the Utah Valley University's campus, saying he did not agree with him.
In the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had.
And tonight, police revealing more evidence uncovered in their investigation, including taunting inscriptions written on 3 unfired rounds they recovered. One of them reading, "Hey fascist, catch," followed by arrow symbols. Another with the lyrics of an anti-fascist song from Italy.
That's a piece of evidence that is not normal, and so it shows there was some kind of intent there to deliver a message.
Investigators also interviewed Robinson's roommate, who showed the messages they say Robinson wrote on the platform Discord, saying he needed to retrieve a rifle left behind.
A message referring to having left the rifle wrapped in a towel. The messages also refer to engraving bullets.
Discord tonight saying it has found no evidence that the suspect planned this incident or promoted violence on Discord. This morning, President Trump announcing the arrest.
I think with a high degree of certainty, we have him in custody.
The head of Utah's DPS telling me their investigation is far from over.
Is it your belief that Robinson is the sole perpetrator in this case?
We are very confident that Robinson was the only shooter at this scene.
Authorities say Robinson arrived on campus earlier than initially thought at 8:29 a.m. wearing a t-shirt and shorts, only to leave and return in a different outfit, the same one seen in these enhanced photos, and then again later when authorities say Robinson ran and jumped off a nearby roof to escape.
All right, so that is NBC's Morgan Chesky with the latest on the suspect in the murder of Charlie Kirk. All right, so we're here at the top of the show. We made it, James.
It is Friday night.
It's Friday
Thanks for spending it with us here on WCNC Plus.
James is headed home. I'm sticking around. You'll see me at 11 o'clock on WCNC Plus and on WCNC Charlotte. Thank you for hanging with us this Friday evening here on Live Impact News on WCNC Plus. Have a great night. See you at 11 o'clock, folks.